Welcome back, family. Today, we're taking our time, we're going deep. This isn't just about conversation, about willpower or self control. This is about the soul. This is about the spiritual world. This is about what really happens behind the scenes when someone gets trapped in pornography and masturbation. And listen, this is not me judging, this is not me condemning. This is me speaking from compassion, from experience, from stories I've heard all around the world. Is it because if porn was only physical, if it was only about dopamine, if it was only about habit, people wouldn't report spiritual side effects. They wouldn't feel darkness. They wouldn't sense presences. They wouldn't have battles, nightmares, sleep paralysis, or spiritual heaviness. But they do. Thousands do. And today, I want to take the time to shine a huge spotlight on this, because when you expose darkness, it loses power. So sit back, breathe deep, and let's walk through the 7 spiritual consequences of porn and masturbation, including some of the real experiences people have shared about demonic or dark spiritual activity connected to lust. Let's begin. And also, I just want to share, this is a script that I made with ChatGPT. 1 is spiritual numbness and disconnection from God. The first consequence is spiritual numbness, the slow fading of sensitivity to the spirit. People describe it like this: everything felt distant. I couldn't feel God anymore. I stopped getting spiritual impressions. Pornography works like a spiritual anesthetic. It deadens your inner senses. Think of your spirit like a radio. Porn adds static. Porn adds noise. Porn scrambles the frequency. People who relapse often report instant changes. Prayer becomes harder. Scripture feels empty. They feel unworthy approaching God. They sense a spiritual fog, and their intuition gets weaker. One man said, "It felt like heaven turned the volume down on me." But truthfully, it's not heaven turning away. It's you turning down your own spiritual sensitivity. And one of the subtle dangers is this: once spiritual numbness sets in, temptation becomes easier. You stop hearing warnings. You stop feeling the pull to return to God. And you stop noticing spiritual danger. This is why porn is so effective spiritually. It disconnects you before it destroys you. 2 is the heaviness and darkness after relapse. The second consequence is the spiritual heaviness people feel after watching porn. And almost everyone describes it the same way. A heaviness in the air, the room feels different, a dark cloud hanging over them, the atmosphere feeling spiritually off. They feel watched or unclean. This isn't normal guilt. This isn't "I messed up." It's a spiritual weight. One woman on a recovery forum said, "I could feel darkness in the room after I fell into porn. It wasn't metaphorical, it felt real." Another man said, "I felt something enter the room after I relapsed." There are countless stories like this. People describe sitting in their room immediately after a relapse and sensing that the atmosphere literally changed, like something entered or something woke up. We're not claiming supernatural details here. We're saying what real people report. Porn attracts heaviness. Porn changes your spiritual environment. Porn affects the energy around you. When you're spiritually clean, you carry light. When you relapse, you feel its absence. And the change is noticeable. 3 is intrusive thoughts and voices not your own. The third consequence involves intrusive thoughts, the kind that feel unwanted, foreign, or externally pushed. People say things like, "The temptations felt aggressive. The thoughts weren't mine. It felt like something whispering to me." Even people who don't believe in spirits report it. When porn becomes a cycle, people experience sudden urges that appear out of nowhere, sexual imagery popping up in their mind, mental pressure, a voice encouraging them to relapse, and impulses that feel forced. Some describe a pattern where the temptation feels intelligent, like it has timing, strategy, and personality. This isn't surprising spiritually. Every tradition teaches lust is one of the fastest ways dark influences gain entry. Not possession, but influence, pressure, whispers, suggestions. Porn weakens your agency, and when your agency drops, temptation feels external because your mind is not fully in command. It makes people feel hijacked, tempted beyond reason, spiritually targeted, mentally overwhelmed. When you strengthen spiritually, these intrusive thoughts lose power. When you relapse, they come back stronger. This is why breaking the cycle feels like warfare. 4 is shadow figures, night terrors, and dark presences. Reported experiences. This is the most dramatic category and also the most commonly reported. Thousands of people report the same things: shadowy figures in the room. After binging porn, some people say they saw a dark human-shaped figure in the corner, something moving in the shadows, a presence sitting or standing near the bed. They describe these figures as blacker than the darkness, watching, silent, heavy. Again, these are reported experiences. Sleep paralysis. Many say their sleep paralysis episodes were lust-themed, dark, terrifying, accompanied by feeling choked or held down, linked directly to porn binges. Some woke up sensing something in the room. Dark or sexual nightmares. People say the nightmares only happened when I was deep into porn. The dreams felt demonic. It felt like something was trying to control my dream. Presence in the room. The most common phrase people use, "I felt something there." They don't claim to see demons. They don't claim possession. They describe a presence, something spiritually dark. This isn't fear-mongering. This is simply a pattern. People report dark spiritual experiences during deep porn use, and those experiences disappear when they break free. 5 is weakening of spiritual protection. Porn doesn't just drain your energy, it weakens your spiritual protection. People describe it like this: temptations feel stronger, their self-control collapses, they feel spiritually exposed, anxiety and fear increase, oppression returns quickly, addictions stack on top of each other, and spiritual attacks feel more frequent. One guy said, "Every time I watched porn, I felt like my spiritual shield shattered." Another person said, "I felt like anything dark could access me emotionally." Spiritually, lust has always been seen as one of the primary doorways. It lowers your spiritual defenses, it clouds your judgment, it reduces your authority over temptation, and it drains your spiritual power. And when your defenses drop, darker influences see an opening. You're easier to tempt, you're easier to discourage, you're easier to manipulate, and you're easier to spiritually weaken. That vulnerability is what so many people feel. 6 is loss of light, purpose, and spiritual radiance. Pure, clean, disciplined sexual energy creates light. People who walk in purity say they feel grounded, confident, clear, connected to God, spiritually magnetic, powerful, and at peace. But porn does the opposite. People say they lose their glow, their charisma, their confidence, their motivation, their purpose, their peace, and their spiritual radiance. Some say my face looked different after I relapsed. People treated me differently. I lost my spiritual attractiveness. This isn't imagination. Sexual energy is spiritual energy, and porn drains it. Masturbation misdirects it. When your sexual energy is misused, your spirit dims. When it's disciplined, your spirit shines. 7 is feeling harassed, tempted, or targeted by dark spirits. This final one is the most significant. When people try to quit porn, spiritual attacks increase. This has been reported across Christian communities, Latter-day Saint groups, Muslim communities, NoFap forums, spiritual recovery circles, even from people with no religious background. People say the moment I tried to quit, all hell broke loose. It felt like something didn't want me to stop. My urges felt demonic. I felt spiritually attacked. It was like I woke up something dark. Some describe emotionally overwhelming temptation, sudden loneliness, depression hitting out of nowhere, spiritual pressure, dark dreams, a sense of being watched, old habits resurfacing, negative thoughts like just give up, you can't win, you're hopeless. This isn't random. When you try to break free from a spiritual trap, the trap fights back. When you cut off darkness, darkness pushes harder. When you reclaim sexual purity, you reclaim spiritual power, and the enemy does not want that. This battle is proof that your soul is valuable. You don't fight for broken things, you fight for what matters, and your spirit matters. So listen, if any of this resonated with you, if any of this sounded familiar, if you felt the heaviness, the numbness, the nightmares, the pressure, the presence, you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not alone. You're not broken. You're experiencing what thousands of people have experienced, because pornography is not just a habit, it's a spiritual battlefield. But here's the most important truth. If darkness is fighting you, it means you're worth fighting for. Darkness fights people with purpose. Darkness attacks people with spiritual potential. Darkness pushes hardest on people who are rising. You are not losing. You are awakening. You're stepping into spiritual clarity. You're stepping into purity. You're stepping into strength. You're stepping into light. And if you stay consistent, if you fight through the darkness, if you reclaim your sexual energy, your spirit will shine again. Your connection to God will return. Your spiritual authority will grow. Your peace will increase. Your purpose will unlock. You are born to walk in power. You are born to walk in purity. You are born to walk in light. And you're getting there one day at a time.